Hey, I'm Jan Frodeno, and you're watching IronmanHacks.
Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the single most important thing you can do to have a good bike split. We're talking about smooth, steady power, not blowing up, and avoid turning the run into a death march. So how do we do this? Well, first let's start with some basics. You've probably heard of these terms thrown around before: average power, normalized power, variability index or VI, functional threshold power FTP, and intensity factor IF. Let's go into what each of these is. Average power, this is the most simple thing of all. It is just what it says, the average effort you put out while cycling. It's the total power you put out divided by the time. Normalized power. Now, there's a bit of confusion about what this is, but essentially what it is it's a more accurate representation of the stress that you feel from varying power outputs. Weighted average power, you could call it, where the hills get more weightage than anywhere else. So there's an emphasis on those surges and those sudden spikes. Next one is VI, or Variability Index. This measures how smooth your power output is. A lower VI means a smoother ride. It's the percentage between the average power and the normalized power. So it's the difference between those two. Functional threshold power, FTP. You probably know this one. You probably know your FTP, but it's the theoretical maximum power you can put out for an hour. And finally, intensity factor, IF. This is the ratio of your average power to your FTP. A higher IF means higher effort. It's basically the percentage of your FTP, and this is the number your coach or maybe yourself, you give yourself to target during a race. So let's talk a little bit about pacing. So a good pacing strategy aims for a VI of 1.05 or lower. This means your power output is pretty consistent. Bad pacing is anything above that. In this example, a VI of 1.2. That's what you can see on the screen right here. That's a lot of surging and coasting, which can lead to fatigue and a slower run. Now, what about terrain? How about on the flats? So if it's flat, it's much easier to get a smooth, normalized power for a low VI and a 1.0 or 1.01 or 1.02. Very minimal variation between your normalized power and average power. Here's the secret for that. Single, steady power with limited surges and limited coasting. Kind of like riding on cruise control. It's not that hard in theory. But don't be fooled. A flat course can be just as challenging or more challenging, I think, than a hilly course because you have no variation. It's boring. It's not interesting. If you're struggling to maintain a steady power, what you got to do is you got to try to change your cadence, maybe increase your cadence and your gearing for some variety. But you still have to keep your power the same. Let the others mash up fast. There's always going to be some guy that wants to race you up the hill. He'll be burning his matches and he'll be ruining his chances on the run. Unless, of course, he's a super strong triathlete. And remember, the 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 rule. If your target power will give you an average speed of about 30 kilometers an hour, follow this chart. Basically, if you're going super fast downhill, you're going 50 kilometers an hour, then coast. If you're going 40, pedal a bit. If you're going 30, stay at your prescribed pace. 20, pedal harder. And if you're only going 10 kilometers an hour, you can mash it pretty hard. So you can actually exceed your prescribed power if you have to, if you're going too slowly. So there you have it, folks. Power meters can be a game changer for triathlon pacing, but you better follow the VI, and that's the key to pacing hills. Remember, smooth power, low VI, and let others go. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Until next time, happy training.